Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Advancing Consciousness Podcast. This is episode 17. It's kind of a peeky back to the last one in episode 16, but we're going to look at competition does not equal advancement. Lots of questions have come around that conversation I had, and I just want to address it. So stay tuned. So welcome back. So let's play with this whole thing about competition does not equal advancement. Some of the concerns that came up, and rightfully so, I mean, based on what we've been seeing on the planet right now and what we've been doing for so long, is that as long as there's competition, there's always advancement, new ideas, new ways of doing things, where you're trying to make something better than what somebody else is. Because one of the questions that came up is like, okay, can we get into stagnation in a sense where, we'll stick to old technologies and not advance because there's nothing to push us to create something new? For example, saying, well, okay, listen, look at the telephone technology, because each one is trying to overcome and do something better than the next one, that, the telephones and different technologies, electronics and all the others, let's call it that, otherwise, have continued to advance because of the fact of competition, because of the fact that in one way or another, for us to stay in business, that we are to utilize, newer advancement. But let's take a look at that a little closer. Now, what happens? Each company is trying to supersede the other. And at times, because of the motive to supersede, and to kind of say, well, we need to keep ourselves going, what ends up happening? Yeah, we're building some advancement in technology to supersede the other. But we're also using possibly not the best of technologies, or pushing the technology to a level where you can now utilize other resources. Because look at this. Say there's the competition of several different companies. Each company is trying to supersede the other. Each company is trying to copy and do something better. Yeah, you could say there's advancements because of that. But at the same time, they're not getting the full picture of each other's technology. And then what happens? We end up making many different versions. So let's take the telephone, the cellular telephone. Because of the amount of different phones that are there, each one has specialties in certain areas, each one has capabilities in certain areas, and there's a lot of replication, but at the same time, it's not harnessing the advancements of each and every phone. Because some of the technology advancement is priority of the company or a group of people that put it together. There may be patents holding on to it and so forth. Then, not to release everything at once, you only release certain parts of it, waiting for the next phase. Because the thing is, people are always waiting for advancements. And that being the case, then you hold off on releasing certain things. And the same thing with the competitive part. So through competition, we can get very sloppy too, where coming up with new does not mean we're coming up with quality. We're coming up with new, we create redundantness with other technologies. And we really never put the effort to see how we can build on the other one that we had before. Of course, since we're in competition, we're basically always trying to supersede, and we're not putting attention on how we can actually create a product or service, in this case, let's stay with the product, that actually takes or encompasses the benefit of everyone to the degree that it can. because there's always constant new technologies coming up and everyone has to supersede, there's a huge R&A involvement, R&D, in that aspect of it, not only the research part, but putting a lot of energy and time to be able to come up with new technologies. And there's a huge investment because each individual company has to invest in their own to kind of break down and see what others have and try to build it the same and better. So you see a lot of resources going into competing each other, and a lot less resources in saying, how can we create something that is as most advanced as possible, using as many different resources and technical advancement that also can be upgraded very easily without the replication part and without investing so much energy all the time in creating many versions of the different products. And the same thing applies to all types of, goods and services for personal consumption. Because we want to advance somebody else, are we spending enough time to see how it benefits versus any negative effects? Are we investing in having the most holistic product that can be consumed? Are we concerned about coming up with new products all the time? Or the fact that in some way, somehow, we have to have immediate results with never looking at possible long-term results that may or may not be beneficial? So you could see that when we're focusing on competition or competing with one another, a lot of things are omitted. The attention of how beneficial it is, if it has any negative effects or not. Maybe not immediate negative effects, but how is it going to provide negative effects later on? How is it actually impacting the planet? How it's impacting the different people that are involved in creating it? Because a lot of times the substances that are being used and bringing forth are taken advantage of, or creating an environment that is less than beneficial for the people that are producing it. Now, sometimes, of course, we use technology to do so, or mechanics, if you want to call it that. But some of the resources may not be of highest quality and may involve bringing in products from other parts of the world that may have less attention on the quality, but also less attention on what it is involved to bring that in. And what I mean that is how to harvest it and who's involved. Because the competition also looks at cost in very powerful ways so that you can be competitive, then the highest quality is omitted on so many fronts. Yeah, when we look at on the surface and say, well, we have made some advancements and we have much more variety because of that. We can't deny that. That's true. However, if we are only focusing on the competition part, then the variety may not be conducive, and the variety may be very superficial. Because when we have quality, our focus is on enjoying what we have and putting our attention on doing something else that we enjoy rather than competing on, say, the newest fashion, the newest trend, the newest this or that. And then creating trends so that we all follow. We won't put our focus on that. We put our focus on, okay, what is going to serve me at this time while I continue doing what I love to do anyways. These are some of the shifts that we experience from shifting away from competitiveness and going into something that is more collaborative. So as much as we may have had some advancements in certain areas, but the advancements are not very holistic. The advancements are not very encompassing. Advancement is not always conducive to all the different layers. The users, the producers, the people involved, and also looking at health, the climate, or being, the environment, and so forth. Even possible exploitation of workers. Because of the fact we have to stay competitive, it really changes the scape. And, it was a great experience. And it has served in an immense way to emphasize that inverted world, to emphasize the separation, to emphasize, not only the polarity by itself, but in that isolation and control and so forth. Because a lot of the competition at this point in time impedes us from really truly advancing, where it actually means something, where it actually is conducive and beneficial in a very holistic way. When we really look at competition, it really dwarfs us in making huge strides forward. Like I was saying, when we collaborate, when we come together, and I know I talked about it extensively in the last episode, that we combine the best minds, utilizing the best advancements. And then the focus is in creating something that really serves in a holistic way. And at the same time, also looking at what does not serve and to take it out of the equation where it's not necessary. If we really focus on advancement, we wouldn't be holding on to a lot of different older technologies. Technologies used in energy resources, technologies used in how we do certain things, what materials are used. Because competition has allowed us to use some really low quality resources in a very dirty, or in this case, less than conducive way environmentally. How many products are made out there to match certain competitive advancements and then end up being harmful, toxic, and hard to dispose of? And also affecting the impact that we have physically and environmentally that continues long term, way beyond what we think is immediate. This is the thing. If you really look at and drop this competitive part, which will involve also dropping the power and importance of money, which we'll be talking in one of the other episodes, you see how we can actually move forward. Because on so many levels, if you give up the competition part and you go into collaboration, advancement is immense. And there's no holding on to the old. There's no holding on to rights. This is mine. Because you see that by serving others and sharing it with others and collaborating with others, we individually benefit. You can hold on to your stuff, but when you make it available and others are doing the same, the availability is immense. But the availability is not to the degree we are experiencing availability now. It's going to be holistic availability, which truly serves us now and long term. It's not short-lived, short-termed. And this is the thing. See, competition pushes us to always be creating things that we are not looking at the bigger pictures to see how it actually serves, or what the quality is like, or the impact. So, back to the title. Competition does not equal advancement, even though it has looked that way to some degree. And I know people have said, oh, if we didn't have competition, we wouldn't have advancement. I can tell you, it's been tried without it, and the advancement has been immense. It's been tried and utilized, still utilized on many, many dimensions and planets. And I know many of you that have incarnated or even observed other incarnations on different planets and so forth, where collaboration is natural, which was our natural state right from day one. It only got changed 10,000 years ago, and now we're going back to that part of collaboration. But wherever these collaborations were utilized, huge advancements. And if they did go into competition for a period of time, it was so short-lived because they saw it was not encompassing. It was not beneficial. There was too much of a price to pay, if you want to call it that, as just a lack of better words, by putting this energy in competition. When you look at corporations, say that that was a small unit of it, which it is. It's about, the word says it right there, cooperation, which is a form of collaboration. Now, of course, it's not inundated with competition within it because it's still pushed to that. But it's about people coming together to collaborate, to work together to come up with something that can be offered as a service. Now, of course, then we compete with different companies doing the same. But if we create units that collaborate all over the world, bringing in technical advancements from all over the world, deeper understanding from all over the world, our health advancement would be through the roof. We wouldn't be dealing with what we're dealing here. We're concerned about putting in a better health plan when that is not necessary, because we have the capacities to make us be completely holistic and healthy. Should we go off that plane, there is technologies, there is advancements that would help us to get back on track very quickly. But without competition, we wouldn't have the majority of different manufactured foods that is not in alignment, does not support our physicality in any way, shape, or form. The treatment of sentient beings, other animals, because of competition, is way off in any way that is supportive. The treatment of animal in the most abusive way to get massive production because of competition is insane. Providing the lowest quality of food you could imagine. Because of competition, food is done in such a way so that you not only consume it in large volume, but using substances, using chemicals and so forth, so that you stay competitive, that is far, far conducive to our physical health, vibrancy. The same thing is in the medical world. Because of competition, guess what? Medical advancements are dwarfed. Competition of the pharmaceuticals, all the different medical systems, and so forth. Because you want, at the end, repetitive patience, if you want to call it that. If we collaborate, we drop the competition, and we look at what really serves us health-wise, through sustenance, meaning food, through various technologies to eliminate unnecessary components, supporting us in whenever we go off balance to bring everything back into a balance, Imagine even the educational system transforming once competition is no longer a necessity. Education would be a place to harvest people coming together. It's not about who looks better, who does better, or anything of that nature. It's about how we can bring our own internal gifts and create something even more expansive. There's huge advancements waiting for us to go back into alignment to our true nature, where it's outside of competition. So I wanted to share that part because there was some concern about the fact that competition really advanced, but it's not. When you really, really look at it, it's not. It actually dwarfs things. It actually supports where we're at right now. Supports separation, exclusivity, control over one another, and the poorest quality of services, products, and sustainability. I'm just sharing from my viewpoint, but it's not just my viewpoint. It's the bigger picture. I've seen it work on other realms, and I know you guys know it. I'm just sharing what has been observed on other planets and observing of our true nature. You know it inside, so tap into it. So let's shift away from competition and let's go into true collaboration and see how we make massive strides of advancement and actually refine our experience to something that's powerfully conducive, powerfully natural, and powerfully who we are. So thank you again. So go out and play. And see each one as a beautiful being of ourselves, expressing itself in its own form of individuality. If all of this resonates, we have the link for you to contribute to support our work. To be part of the community, you can register in our community email. Checking out our programs and different sites. It's all there. It's in the description. So join us. Until the next episode, go out and have a blast. We'll see you then.